Hey folks, Ray from Lovey RV. Another beautiful day on the estuary here in Campbell River. So with what's going on in the world, it looks like the US border may remain closed for quite a while. So we've made the decision to spend the winter here. And part of spending the winter here will mean I'm actually going to have to skirt the RV just so we'll have a lot better warmth inside. It'll save on heating costs. And it's just a good thing to do if you're going to be spending winter in a cold climate. So I've chose my RV skirting and ordered it up. I'm going with a product from a company called Easy Snap. If you remember, maybe about 3 years ago, I installed their window shades on the back of the RV, and I've been pretty happy with the product. The material has held up very well. So I decided they were the one I was going to go with. Also because they ship to Canada, US and Canada, so it was very easy for me to get it here. I kind of thought about doing a DIY thing with, foam board or some type of wood, or get my own vinyl and get it made at an upholstery place, but all that seemed to be a little more difficult. This was more of a straight and easy option. Very easy to install. A little pricey, but not as pricey as getting it custom sewn up vinyl. So anyway, what I'm going to do is do a couple of videos for you. I told the company I was planning to do a couple installation videos and a review, so they did give me a discount, but not a whole lot. Actually, this package that I put together for my rig cost about $1,400 US, 1,850 Canadian. So I do have quite a bit of money into it, so it's not a total freebie or anything. So let's look what I ordered. So I went with the skirting all the way around the rig. I had to measure all the way around the rig with a tape measure, and it worked out to around 70 feet. So I ordered 80 just to be sure. It's got 80-foot roll here to go all the skirting all the way around the rig. And then I also decided to do the front compartment, or the front under the fifth wheel overhang, and make myself a skirting around there and put a little room in there. So I ordered their package. This is the taller package, and it actually paid to have a zipper installed, so it has a zippered door and everything. Be a closer look at this material. You can see it's not very thick at all, but it's very strong. They tell me that actually the thickness of your skirting doesn't really matter a whole lot. So it's thin and lightweight, easy to move around. Also, when I'm not using it, I purchased a couple bags, these two red bags here, so I can fit my skirting in there and put it in the storage room for summer, or if we go south and don't need skirting, I can always store it away. For connecting it to the rig, this is the company's name, Easy Snap. They use these little plastic snaps. So you install the snaps onto the side of the RV. They do have 3M stick-on snaps, but because I indicated that where we are is going to be a really high wind environment, the guy really advised going with the screw-in type snaps. So most places I'm going to use screws. A few places where I really don't want to put screws in the RV, I might use just do it with the 3M stick-on stuff. And then once you get that on, this goes through the material. It's kind of little points on it, and then this snaps on top of that. So, and then there's a little tool to remove when you take the material off, sort of like my shades. And also I ordered some extra. They give you some, but I ordered some extra length of this. It's a Velcro, super really high bond Velcro, so that you can make a seam or you can make access doors with it. And to hold it down at the bottom, they recommended me, I have to buy it myself, is go get some irrigation piping, PVC piping about 3/4 inch. And then I picked up these, they sell these, and that clamps the material onto the pipe so everything drapes nicely onto the ground. So it's going to be a fair project here, but a lot easier than building my own kind of DIY situation. I think in the front I'm actually going to put a 2x2 wood frame just to help with support of the material and give it a little bit of extra structural strength against the wind, because it looks beautiful and peaceful here and calm, but come winter this place will have some raging storms coming through. Anyway, I'm going to split this into two videos. We'll do one video where I install the skirting around the RV, and then I'll come back with a second video where I do the front storage room under the front fifth wheel cap. So first things first is to mount all of the snaps all the way around the fifth wheel. So before I start sticking on all the snaps, I have to kind of decide how far up the rig I'm going to put the skirting. And my Cougar has a natural dividing line right along there. Above it is kind of a fiberglass Phylon material, and below it is a sheet metal kind of fender material. So that'll be good, because I'm actually going to use the screws and screw in the snap. So I'd rather screw it into the sheet metal versus the fiberglass, which could cause a problem, crack, whatever. So I think it's going to work out perfect for me to make that the line where my skirting goes along at the top. I'll have to cut it for access to my water heater and my storage bay and my propane, so there'll be some dips along there. And also the stairs, luckily I got these new solid step stairs, so that's pretty easy. You'll be able to fold them up and the skirting will just drop down. Won't have good access to the storage box, but that's fine. Back here is the highest point. From there to the ground is 3 feet. Now I went ahead and ordered the tallest skirting they have, 5 feet, so it's kind of overkill for my situation because the highest is 3. And you can see it goes lower and lower from there because we're quite slanted at the back. But that's okay. I decided it was only $20 more or something to get the 5-foot length, so I can tuck the excess under, and also it could come in handy if we ever change rigs or I decide to sell off the skirting. It's good to have the highest because a lot of these new rigs are quite tall. The back part is kind of a little more perplexing what I'm going to do here. Probably going to take the skirting, drop it down a bit, and run along the bottom with my snaps. I could put slits, see the bumper here, and put it straight down. There's 3 places I would have to slit the skirting though, so I think I'm just going to live with a little bit of a bumper bump. So it'll come down and kind of wrap around the bumper. I'll probably put some snaps on the bumper as well for just a little bit of extra sturdiness. Then around here, this is where my plumbing comes out. So I got my sewer hose is going to come out and my water hose. Water hose will be replaced with a heated hose. And they'll come out right at this area. So I think what I'm going to do is wrap the skirting around, and then right here on this slide part, I'm probably going to put an access point here, because I'll also need to get underneath my slide, because between the tires on this rig is where my galley valve is located. Probably should have put an electric valve in there. Well, I put electric valves in the other ones. Never did get around to that, so now I'm kind of stuck unless I order and put in an electric valve, but it's kind of getting late in the season to be tearing plumbing apart. So I'll probably live with that. I'll be able to just crawl under there when I need to, because at the back here I have lots of height as well. So my access door will be there. Then the skirting will continue on the slide. Same deal, you can see how this part here is sheet metal, and that's the fiberglass. So same thing, the snaps will get screwed into the sheet metal. And I think what I'll do, the skirting, is it'll wrap around the corner of the slide. Probably go just above there with my snaps. And then, because that's sort of the same height, so I'll keep it the same height. Along there, same deal, I'll have to dip below that storage bay and dip below that. Then at the front, I'll probably dip down and I'll put snaps just above that bottom border there. So I will put some skirting in between where my little room is going to go and the underneath there. This will be where the room's going to happen. Have my freezer in here and some storage, and we'll go around. So I'm hoping I'll be able to do that pretty well with one continuous piece, other than that access door at the other end. So next we'll start putting on snaps. I say I can space them maximum 10 inches apart if I'm using the screw-in snaps, or if I'm doing the stick-on 3M adhesive snaps, they want them every 5 inches. It's another good thing going with the screw-in. I know people don't want to put holes in their RV, but for me, my RV is already 9 years old, so I'm not really worried about it that much. So there's a couple different ways to mount the snaps. I elected to go with the screws, for the most part anyway. There's the snap, and on the back of the snap is a very high bond 3M adhesive pad. So you want to stick that onto the RV, where you want it of course. But first, the best thing to do is kind of go around the RV and mark out where you want it. Use a pencil and kind of mark where you want the snaps. Now because I'm using screw, the maximum distance between is 10 inches, so I kind of mark 10 inches on my ruler, so I make sure to get them close enough together. So first thing, I'll take this isopropyl alcohol. It says 70% on it, but actually this is 50-50 water isopropyl alcohol mix. You really don't want to use any of the higher grade ones. You can get 99 and 91, 70, but they recommend 50-50 mix. Just because they don't want it to dry too fast. They want it to stick on there and allow the alcohol to really do a good cleaning of the surface. And that is really important for when you're not using the screws. I'm still going to do it for the screws just to give it an extra bit of hold. But if you don't do it with the screws and you're just going to go with the sticky part of the snap, they also advise to get these primer sticks. So you break a stick, and after you've cleaned it with the alcohol, you dab it with this primer, and that really fills in any gaps or valleys on the surface and allows you to get a really good bond. So I found over the years, I have the RV shades, and I've really only had a few come loose, and that's more because I kind of let the material dangle in the wind and it kind of got a sideways pull on it. For the most part, they're all still well stuck onto the RV. So anyway, why did I go for the screws? Why do I want to put holes in my RV? Well, where we're going to be spending the winter is known for a lot of coastal storms, so it's not uncommon to get winds up in over 50 miles an hour here even. So I want to make sure I have the strongest, and they call this their high wind package. And also my RV is a bit old, so I don't mind putting a few screw holes in it here and there. Anyway, I'll demo putting that screw in there and mounting it, and then we'll also demo how to do with the primer. So I went along with a pencil and marked out where I want to put the studs. And it's going to be right under this, right into the metal, along there and there and there. So now I'm going to take a nice clean cloth. I'm going to clean off those areas really well with the alcohol. Just make sure they're super clean. Now I'll put the studs on. I'm going to give it a little bit of pressure. They say 15 pounds of pressure just to seat it. Next, the screws. So these are self-tapping screws. The only thing about using the screws is you have to make sure what's behind there. You don't want to screw into a plumbing pipe or an electrical cable or a gas piping at all. I kind of got a really good idea of my rig. I've had it apart many times and looked in everywhere, so I know kind of what's behind the wall. Also, the screws are quite small, so likely you're not going to hit anything, but if in doubt, check or contact your dealer or an RV tech to see what's behind different parts of your unit. And next I'll put the little snaps on. Snap in place. Now they're all ready to get the vinyl material put on them. So I'll give you a little demo of the stick-on only method. This is my window shade studs. Now they've been on here over 3 years. I use them every summer here, and most of them have been great. Still stuck on quite well. And we've spent time in the desert and on the coast. Lots of rain here. They get a lot of sun during the day. But a few have come loose. Here's one here. You can see it's starting to pull away from the RV. That's usually how they go. Now this was mostly because I like to pull my shade down during the morning and look out the clear window and then put it up in the afternoon. So sometimes it's hanging and it gets the wind starts pulling on it. So we'll peel that off, and I'm going to put the stick on back there. You can see it usually separates, not the actual glue that separates, it's usually the foam backing. Now they have told me they have a new generation of stick-on pads. They're a little thinner than this, so they're supposed to be even better than these easy snaps. So we'll just get some cleaner, scrape that off. Let's get it off with my fingernails even. I'll clean that up really well, and we'll start to prep the surface. Okay, so I'm going to replace a couple here and here. So same deal, 50% water alcohol mix. I'm going to clean that surface area really good. Then we'll let it completely dry. I'll get my primer stick. Okay, so here's the primer stick, and what I'm going to do is crush that, and then it's going to saturate the felt tip there. And they give you this thing that you can put over where you want the primer to go. And they give you that because you don't want to waste the primer. You can do a bunch of spots all in one go. So we'll do that. Give you a demo of that. There's the brake. You can see it's saturated there. And we'll put it right about there, I think. Yeah. And one right here. There we go. Now I'm going to let it dry for about 5 minutes at room temperature. So you really want to do these adhesive studs when it's at least over 70 degrees or 20 Celsius for multiple days in a row, because you get a lot better bond. I think 3M says they're kind of bonded in 60 minutes, but it takes 3 full days for them to bond properly. So that's another reason you want to kind of do this at a time of year if you're going to use the adhesive stick-ons when you're going to have fairly warm temperatures, because the colder it gets, once it's below minus 15 Celsius or 60 degrees, then they really advise that you use the screws like I've done with my skirting. Okay, now that they're dried, you can peel and stick the easy snaps right on the surface there. Same thing, give it some pressure, move it around, pressure on all points. One. And 2. Easy peasy. Well, I went around and attached all the snaps. You can see them going underneath the door, back up, around some of the fixtures there, furnace and water heater, and then along. So they won't have these black things on when the skirting is off. They will just have the white stick-on things left. But now it's all ready to put the material on there. Just give you a look at the back here. I decided after talking to the Easy Snap folks that I will put it in behind and not wrap the bumper around this, just to get rid of the bulge. They said it's pretty easy to cut a slit on both sides up here, and then it'll sit a lot nicer. So along that top there I might put the glue on ones. All along there I've put in the screw-in type, along the metal there. I've kind of left this right now because that's going to be my entrance door. So when I start out, I'm going to start with the roll here and begin on this side. See all the snaps going across the slide there. That'll go across. Then it's going to wrap around here, go across, down and around. And then at the front, I have snaps going across the bottom there. So everywhere the screw-in went quite nice, and of course that 3M is going to seal everything, so I'm not really worried about water intrusion or anything. I've talked to a guy online and made a comment that some of his screws pulled out and he went and had to do some rivets, but we'll see how it goes with mine. It seems like those screws went in and bit pretty good all the way around. So at the bottom, I've also finished putting down my plumbing pipes. So this is 3/4 inch PVC kind of irrigation piping. So I've made a pattern all the way around. So the skirt's going to come off those, drop, and it's going to fold under, and then there's going to be clamps to clamp against that piping. Now there was a couple different pipes to choose from when I was looking in Home Depot. And this is the high pressure, there it is, 480 psi schedule 40 piping. So it was a little heavier. There was another type that was a lower psi. It was quite a bit cheaper. This stuff went for, well, in Canada it was about $10 for 10 feet. Probably be about $6 or $7 in the States, but the other stuff was only $3 Canadian, but it was quite a bit lighter, so I decided to spend the money and get the heavier pipe. I've also done 3 cross sections. These go from one side all the way to the other side of the rig underneath, and that's going to brace the piping. The piping can get quite wiggly when it's that long, you know, so having those braces helps. And then I'll be able to put some weight on those braces underneath as well. That'll help hold that piping down. I'm not gluing these or anything because I want to be able to disassemble them and use them again, store them and use them again. So I think they're just friction fit right now, and I'll probably run some tape around those joints so they don't come apart. Anyway, I guess the next step is to get the skirting roll out and start hanging the skirting around. Found pushing the vinyl around the pins was a little difficult, so I just used this little pair of duck-billed pliers, and it kind of made it a little easier, as long as I was careful not to slip and rip the fabric. Okay, so I have most of it mounted and tucked under. So I've got some odds and ends here. Got to cut out the compartments there. On the front it was kind of weird because the angle got strange coming down, so I decided I'm going to put a split in the middle there and have a Velcro seam there. It's going to be underneath the front room anyway, but just in case I want to have the rig without the front room sometimes. And you can see the piping's a little out. I still haven't kind of squared all that and figured out I wanted to have more piping rather than have to add on piping, so that's got to be fixed up. Kind of see how I'm going to cut out the compartments and things. There we go, under the stairs. And that's enough for today. Tomorrow I'm going to do the tricky part here, where I'm going to put it behind the bumper, and then I'll be able to put my room in. But you can kind of start to see how it's going to come underneath the piping, and those clamps will go on the piping, and then the piping I can put some weights on. I think it's going to work out good. Miller time. Stay tuned, folks. Okay, so I've been hard at work another day. Found the back end to be a little finicky, but I did get them wrapped around the bumper. What I'm going to do, just for looks, is I'm going to take another sheet here, because I have some extra Velcro. I'm going to Velcro on a nice looking flat piece there. And around the corner, and I put in my access door there and put Velcro around it, and also Velcroed a little access door for the sewer hose to come out. So I'll just put this on, and then I'll give you a tour of the whole rig. There we go, that looks a little bit better. So I just used some Velcro to attach it on the top, that way I can undo it and keep it. There's the Velcro access door open. So pretty well got her done. A few little odds and ends, things to kind of align, but overall I'm pretty happy with the skirting. Just give you a walk around. There's the back end. And it's doing her photography. Back end there. And here's where the outlets come out. Slide out. So you can see I spaced those bottom white clamp-ons on the pipe every about 2 feet or so. One thing about the skirting is you don't want it to be really tight, pulling on those top snaps. You want it just to touch the ground. If you start getting it too tight, you're going to be pulling, especially when the wind hits, it's going to be pulling on all those snaps. Kind of glad I went with the screw-in snaps, because I could do them every 10 inches at the maximum, whereas if I went stick-on, they want every 5 inches, so that would be a heck of a lot of snaps to put on, you know, sort of twice as many. Here's the front. Just in the front there, there's the seam, so I added Velcro there, so I have access in my little room to get in underneath as well. And next, I'll be putting on the room. Right around there, we're going to have a storage room. It's going to have a zippered door. I'll be able to stick things like my freezer and storage bin sort of thing in that room. I'll also be able to put a little heater in there to help get heat up into our bedroom. But I thought I'd do a 2-part video, do the first with the main skirting. So if you guys have any questions about the skirting or anything, I can answer them in the comments, or the next video I can come up with an answer for you. Anyway, till next time, Ray from loveyourrv.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. Cheers, folks.